Good morning and welcome back to our Teen Sunday School class. We're going to continue talking about the miracles of healing that Jesus did. We only did two.
Yeah.
We only really got to two last week. No, it wasn't last week. It was the week before last.
Yeah. Right?
It was week before last. Because it's like once you get into talking about these things and really think about what it's talking about, it'll only take you two. You only get to two, really. And so let's just go ahead and get back into the miracles of Jesus. And I was trying to figure it out. Most of the miracles, when you look, are in Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
That's true.
Because I was looking at them, I'm like, Matthew, Mark, and Luke hold most of the miracles. There's some in John, but not a whole bunch. Most, if you see, most are Mark. A good portion of them, and we only found one. Remember, we only found like one that was in all four Gospels, and that was the feeding of the 5,000.
Yes, that one was in all four.
And so that was really the only one. But Matthew, Mark, and Luke, they have most of all the same ones, just they are, what is it called? They're just said in the way they wrote how they saw it, kind of thing. But they're the same ones. One, of course, has more details than the other one does. And so that's why we look at all of them to see the details, or see where there wasn't really any details, where there's only like 3 scriptures in one, and then there's like 6 and 7 in the other ones. And so, last week we talked about the impotent man that sat by the pool of Bethsaida. It's been one of those days. Bethsaida.
Yes.
We talked about him, and then we talked about the woman with the issue of blood. Now, there's so many other miracles of healing. Let's look at Peter's mother, who had the fever. So they'll get Mark 1:29. Well, Matthew 8:14. Let me make sure I'm looking at this right, because I do this every time. Matthew 8:14 through 17. Lanee, Mark 1:29 through 31, and I'll get Luke. Is that 4:38 through 39? Right. Is that right, Bill?
Yes.
Luke 4.
What am I looking for? Oh, I see. Yeah.
14 through 17. All right, do that. We're talking about Peter. Did I say Peter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Peter's mother-in-law healed of a fever.
Peter's probably disappointed. Started at verse 14. And when Jesus was coming to Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto them. And there's that. That's it. All we can say
Okay,
about
that was short. See? Okay.
I just sounds like Matthew's just sitting there and they told him about what happened. He just wrote down what
They just wrote it down,
Jesus
yes.
got up, I guess. They ministered
Alright,
unto him.
read mine.
Get
Mark.
some food.
Yep, Mark 1:29 through 31.
One. Oh, I forget Mark is weird.
Yeah. And forthwith, when they were come out of the synagogue, they entered into the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. But Simon's wife's mother lay sick of a fever, and anon they told him of her. And he came and took her by the hand and lifted her up, and immediately the fever left her, and she ministered unto them.
Okay.
Dreamers.
Okay, these are
That's all
short.
he wrote.
Yeah.
And what was
What's
Luke?
the anon? Is that a QAnon reference?
Luke 4.
That's all he wrote.
Is that right?
No.
Oh, 38. That's what I'm like, wait, that's not right. 38.
I'm in chapter 3.
Okay, these are short. And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house, and Simon's wife's mother was taken with great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her, and immediately she arose and ministered unto them.
Okay.
I guess what else there's there to say?
There's really not a whole
This
bunch.
is like
The
the first,
centurion
although,
is
I
just
mean,
like...
it's significant though because this is the first miracle that Jesus, like other than when he called them.
Yeah.
This is the first miracle that Jesus has performed for one of the disciples personally.
Yes.
Or for someone that he knew. Or, you know, it's the first
Well,
personal.
we're the ones that were talking about that. How when you look at the miracles or the different things that Jesus did, it was never someone that was close to him. It was hardly ever.
Yeah,
It was always somebody that he didn't know, not like, you know.
Yeah. But like even the wedding at Cana, that
Mhm.
was a different circumstance because it wasn't. I mean, he was at the wedding, so you know he and Mary obviously knew the family, but
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't personal. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say how many miracles, I mean healings, raising of the dead.
The only other ones I can think of that were like personal to him were was like Lazarus. And all that,
Lazarus, and then Peter's mother-in-law.
I mean, the coin in the fish's mouth. I guess that's not a miracle of healing, though.
No, it's just a miracle, really.
Yeah.
But just thinking about the ones that people that were close to him, you only really hear of the ones where there's this multitude of people. He just saw them and knew that they needed to eat, so he fed them. Or
It
the
says
lepers.
a lot about the nature of what Jesus did that most of the miracles were for people he didn't know.
Yes.
Because that's just how selfless he was even in his human form.
Yes. I do agree. Alright, let's see another one.
I think it's also cool that, like, you know, if I knew Jesus personally,
Mm-hmm.
not saying that I would, like, abuse the friendship, but I would definitely be asking for a lot of things.
Yes.
So it says a lot about the respect that all of them had for Jesus as a person. Because, like, I already asked him for a lot of things.
That is so true. So true. Now, the nobleman's son that has a fever is only in John.
Really?
It's only John. John chapter 4, 46 through 54. It's only in John. It's not in any of the other ones.
It's so cool to see what miracles John thought were the most important to put in. Because
Does it
you
say
know, like,
46 through 54.
you know he was with Jesus for all the others, but
Yeah.
he didn't put all of them in here. Where is it?
46.
What chapter?
4.
Got it. Sorry.
4, 46
60.
through 54.
Got
What do
it.
you mean 60?
I said John 3:16.
Oh, I thought you said John 3:60. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no.
Alright. Who's reading?
Go ahead.
I'm just kidding.
I'll read it. So Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee, where he made the water wine. And there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. When he heard that Jesus was come out of Judea into Galilee, he went unto him and besought him that he would come down and heal his son, for he was at the point of death. Then said Jesus unto him, Except ye see signs and wonders, ye will not believe. The nobleman saith unto him, Sir, come down ere my child die. Jesus saith unto him, Go thy way, thy son liveth. And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. And as he was now going down, his servants met him and told him, saying, Thy son liveth. Then inquired he of them the hour when he began to lament. And they said unto him, Yesterday at the 7th hour the fever left him. So the father knew that it was at the same hour in the which Jesus said unto him, Thy son liveth, and himself believed in his whole house. This is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he was come out of Judea.
See, like, Jesus sounds very peevish in this.
I don't
like,
think so. I think he was.
Oh no, that under his breath definitely. Except to see signs and wonders, you will not believe. And then
No,
it's
Jesus wouldn't have said it like that. Because
No. It's because
It just
so
sounds like he was
many
tired
people.
of doing miracles. That he
so
only
many
does
people just
one.
ask for something to ask for it, you know?
Yeah, it's not even them really needing it or
It's
something
like,
like that.
oh, watch Jesus doing a miracle.
Well,
Yeah.
he also, I get it too because he had just come out of the wedding at Cana, and his mom made him do a miracle. He didn't even want to really. He was just kind of like, okay, fine, I guess I can. And then he, it's not my time yet. And then all of a sudden, all
I'm
these
sure
people
Jesus
start.
was willing once married.
It's like it was just a start.
He wouldn't have done it if he wasn't.
If he wasn't supposed to.
You know, like he's just like, oh man, now everybody's asking for everything, and then he just.
No, this wasn't right after. This was.
How can it, I can only read that as like a little bit perturbed that he had to do more miracles, except you see signs and wonders you will not believe. And then the guy's just like, my child's gonna die.
Yeah, because that wasn't right after.
No, not right after, but it's second miracle.
It says Cana,
Yeah.
This
but when
looks like a flashback type thing to me, as far as I don't know if that's in chronological order. Because he said this is again the second miracle that Jesus did when he's come out of Galilee.
Well, no, because he went back into Judea. Remember?
When he's come out of Judea,
Yeah, because he was in Galilee before it came, and then he went back into Judea, like into the temple, threw the money changes out, and then the whole Nicodemus thing.
Yes. Okay, so let's look at this miracle though.
Yeah.
So.
No. Here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's So and after 2 days he departed thence and went into Galilee, and then
because he was in Judea before with the Samaritan woman and all that.
Yeah, and then so Jesus came again into Cana of Galilee,
where he needed the water.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was saying that's no. It's I don't know. It's hard to say where he means. Like that's where. Like this is where that thing happened. That was a while ago, or he went into Cana where he made the water into wine. You know?
I think it's in the correct timeline. Honestly.
Yeah. All right. So let's look at this. So this nobleman who could have probably went to anybody, could have went anywhere, probably took his child anywhere to go get seen because he was
gone to 1,000 different doctors.
Yes, but
Money
instead, I mean, because he had money, obviously.
Yeah.
But instead, he went to Jesus, and if you see, Jesus told him, "Go thy way, thy son liveth." And the man believed the word that Jesus had spoken unto him, and he went his way. It didn't say, well, what if I go and he's not healed, and he didn't even question. He just went. How many times? Go ahead.
I think what you were saying about Jesus, I think you did whatever. I think there's a lot of trials of faith that we face in our daily lives, and I think that was just another one of those, because Jesus was like, well, if like with the woman and the dog breadcrumb thing.
Yes.
I think this is just Jesus seeing if they really want it.
Yeah.
Because if, like, I'm sure, like I said, a lot of people probably ask him for things, but just to
see what he,
and
what he would do.
They didn't really want the thing to happen.
I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, I mean, I think a lot of people focus on that he was God and leave out the fact that he was human. The fact that he was human enough to say that he prayed 3 times for hours and hours to try to get out of the crucifixion.
They thought, because he was God, he wouldn't have any type of feelings or any type of emotions.
I'm not saying
or like,
but I think people focus too much on the
what
God part.
What he said is like they're too focused on him being God.
Sweeps out his arm, this, that, and the other, but he had some human attributes as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he wept with Lazarus, even though, and he knew that he was going to live. I mean, he knew that he was going to live,
yeah, but he
still wept.
He was sad.
That's why I say he may have had some more
sure
human-like emotions, where he's just like, man, I'm tired of doing this already, and it's only a second miracle or whatever.
He was human, so you really have to think about.
Yeah, a lot of that. I don't know, but it just seems to me a lot of people are like, well, he was God, so he wouldn't be annoyed.
I don't think that he was frustrated.
Obviously, they didn't know God.
I don't think he was frustrated right here.
No, I don't.
No, I don't know about that.
No,
but God was annoyed all the
general.
time. God had so many times where he was just like, I'm so annoyed, I'm going to kill all the children of Israel, and then they're like, okay, we get it. We're sorry.
Well, but notice how,
but the God of the Old Testament was a God of judgment.
Right. That's what I said. Notice how the Old Testament, how he was, and notice how he is in the New Testament now that there's someone to be able to actually stand in that gap.
Yeah.
Stand there and say, but God, remember, my blood covered that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just not saying that the prophets and stuff like that weren't great people.
I'm sure the Israelites needed some harsh judgment.
Right. And not saying that the prophets, but he needed someone. There needed to be someone that it wasn't just for that group of people, but he needed someone that was going to be for all people.
Jesus is to the world what Moses was to the children of Israel, the mediator between them and God.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that back in the Old Testament, Moses interceded for them a lot, like with the plague thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who prayed for them and asked for a solution. And Jesus was human, and that's why he's the perfect mediator.
Right.
Because he's experienced both divinity and humanity.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that too. I just think people look at him as the quiet guy.
Oh no, I do not think he was emotionally perfect.
Well,
I was
but
just
like,
saying,
you know what I mean? I think that people look more at the healing people rather than him clearing out the temple with a whip. You know, as far as him actually getting mad and flipping tables. I mean, not in that way where he's just doing it to destruct. I know, but like, people kind of look at that and they're like, oh, but they don't put that in perspective that usually what people see of Jesus is the quiet, long-haired, bearded guy who's just kind of like, bring the little children over here, and then all of a sudden he's like, get out of the temple.
Right. They don't.
Jesus still experienced the necessary righteous anger.
Yeah, I agree. It was necessary. I just think that no one remembers that part when they're thinking about Jesus.
No,
they always remember
I do.
the nice,
because
we
studied the sheep before the shears is dumb. That's what people remember, where he's just silently taking all this stuff. But he didn't when he was there for the most part. I mean, he was kind to people, but then when he had to be angry,
stood up for him.
when he had to be angry, he was angry. And like tell that old fox, Herod, which is a great insult, by the way. I wish we'd bring that back.
That's I think how you can see, because God did need to be angry at the people of Israel.
Yes.
Because that was necessary for them to grow and to move on. And Jesus needed to be angry with the money changers in the temple because what they were doing was not right.
Yeah.
It was not pleasing in the eyes of God.
Mm-hmm.
As like the children
so
of
if
Israel.
God was angry about it, then Jesus was the mediator once again on God's side.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
and
that in between.
He had the authority to do that even if
Yes.
people didn't believe it.
Yes. But
I don't know what this.
We're only going to get
this
through
just
one
seemed.
more miracle.
I know. This just seemed funnier to
it's
be
fine.
where he's just like murmuring under his breath about how upset he is. Which I don't think that actually happened. It just sounds funny the way it's worded there. It's like, you see signs and wonders, you will not believe.
Well, looking at this nobleman though.
Said again. Come again, or my child dies. So obviously,
come, or my child dies. Which
obviously he wasn't there just to see.
He's not even talking to him.
Well, it wasn't. You can see too that he wasn't there just to see if Jesus was going to be able to do it.
And I like that he wasn't defensive about it either.
No, he wasn't.
No, he's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's
right.
Not me.
He
was just like, please, you just said it again.
Yes.
And
then he just went immediately.
It has nothing to do with the son.
No, it doesn't. Nothing at all. And he just went and did it. He just left.
Yeah.
How many times has God told us something, and we were trying to defend it? Or how many times have we just like, well, he's not going to do it? And just instead of going to do what he asked us to do, we're going to do the opposite.
I wonder how many false prophets there were at that time that were doing stuff like that. There had to be somebody who how far are you away? Okay, a day. Yeah, he's healed, and then he just goes a whole day
and
home and nothing.
Well,
nothing
the 7 sons of Sceva.
Yeah,
right.
Even
that might have been part of the reason.
Imagine if it hadn't
That might have been part of the reason why Jesus said, "Except you see signs and wonders," because that was what those people specialized in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Showing you, look at this.
Yes.
Let's
look at how
marvel at
wonderful.
what. Yes.
Yeah.
To get
so that's probably why
followers.
he was right.
And
it's just so funny. If it hadn't worked,
fine.
it would have just been a day's journey away from Jesus, and then he could have done whatever. He's like, oh, he's not going to come get me now,
Well, the nobleman did what Jesus told him, and as he was going, one of his servants said, "Your son is alive." When this happened, the same time, oh, it scared me. It must be sitting on my shirt. And it happened the same time that Jesus told him. He remembered. I remember him saying this at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, my son was healed. And he believed.
Yeah.
And so...
And his whole house.
And his whole house. Not just him. Because he's the one that spoke to Jesus.
Because, I mean, a lot of people now, I am by no means saying that you shouldn't go to doctors and get help from doctors. But a lot of people, if they go to a doctor and they get healed by the Lord, it's obviously divine healing. No doctor could do what happened there. And then they walk away from it and say, "Oh, the doctors did it." They couldn't. They didn't have that excuse here.
No, they didn't.
Because that father knew that his son was dying.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that there was nothing that he or any other doctor could do about it.
No soothsayer.
And he went to Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus did it. And I think that's why the whole house believed. No, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of miracles, there are some exceptions, but a lot of miracles, there's some way that you could scientifically explain it to the outside observer. You know, like some miracles you're like, how could they? But like, you know, I think God still gives you a choice on a lot of those, where you could say, well, you know, like Moses throwing down his rod. Well, he just did that too. It's obviously some trick. You know, you could say that it's something like that.
But then when you see that the rod that Moses threw down devoured the other rods, then what is that? You know what I mean?
It's these kind of things that really, it shows you why people are scared of the Bible being true.
Yep.
Because this is something irrefutable that happened that showed Jesus' divinity, and some people are scared of that. It's weird.
Let's try to find it, because we're about out of time.
I know. We talked for a while.
Yeah. We got about, what, 10 minutes?
I mean, if it takes us a while to get through these, I'm fine with that.
Well, there's so many.
And we're really getting in depth with some of the
Right, I was going to say, there's so many, and it's not.
Yeah.
We zoom by the mother-in-law one because there's nothing there.
There was like two verses in each
one, so they're all the same.
Imagine if
okay,
all
let's
the
look
miracles were put like that. There was like, and then Lazarus got up. And that was it. He just
it wouldn't have. It's almost like.
It's like
his friend Lazarus died.
His friend Lazarus
Jesus went there and said, "Lazarus, rise." He got up. Everything was fine.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same.
Cliff's Notes version.
Yeah. They didn't even put Jesus wept. It's like,
let's see. Oh, look, I found another one just in John.
Okay, which one?
Sight given to a man who was born blind. It says John 6.
Which
4. John 4. It's only in 4. It's only in John.
Oh.
John 4 again.
It's not in there.
That's it.
It's not in chapter 4.
6.
Hold on. That is 6.
VI?
It's IX.
That's 9.
9. See, I'm telling you, I'm not good with these.
Okay, here it is. Alright. And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man which was blind from his birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?
Okay. You know why they asked that, though, right?
I hope that guy didn't
They're
hear
trying
him.
to trap Jesus.
I hope that guy didn't hear him. Like, he's just like,
I always
I have better hearing.
Yes.
I'm blind. I have better hearing.
Yes.
No one sinned.
Yes.
So who's
Mom, he just like calls up his mom. Hey, what happened? I had no idea this is what happened.
They were just. Well, it was
Who
his
has
disciples,
that
so I'm sure
opinion?
they weren't trying to.
Who walks by a homeless guy with one leg and thinks like, I wonder who was the sinner. But like the funny part is like everybody sins, and so like with all the disciples.
Well, you have to
that had,
realize
like,
too. Some of the
half an
disciples are
arm.
very intelligent.
Jesus answered, Neither has this man sinned, nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. I must work the works of him that sent me while it is day. The night cometh when no man can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had thus spoken, he spat on the ground and made clay of the spittle, and he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay, and said unto him, Go, wash in the pool of Siloam, which is by interpretation sent. He went his way therefore and washed, and came seeing. The neighbors therefore, and they which before had seen him, that he was blind said, is not this he that sat and begged?
Oh, my
Some
goodness.
said, this is he.
Hey, give you money. You were faking it the whole time.
Hey dude, aren't you that beggar?
It's so funny this literally happens that you give like some guy who pretends to be lame like money, and they just like at the end of the day just stands up and walks
The
off.
sad truth.
It's the exact same thing. They're just like, I gave this guy money. He wasn't even blind. He just had sunglasses
Poor
on.
man.
Anyway,
Poor man. That thing is
Alright.
bad for me. He is like him.
some said this is he, others said he is like him, but he said, I am he. Therefore said they unto him, how were thine eyes opened? He answered and said, a man that is called Jesus made clay and anointed mine eyes, and said unto me, go to the pool of Siloam and wash. And I went and washed, and I received sight. Then said they unto him, where is he? He said, I know not. They brought to the Pharisees him that aforetime was blind. And it was the Sabbath day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes.
Every time.
Then again,
Every single, it's like every single miracle it seems like is on the Sabbath day.
Then again the Pharisees did also ask him how he had received his sight. He said unto them, he put clay upon mine eyes, and I washed, and do see. Therefore said some of the Pharisees, this man is not of God, because he keepeth not the Sabbath day. Others said, how can a man that is a sinner do such miracles? And there was a division among them.
Well,
They say unto the blind man again.
It's like the
what's
Pharisees.
he ain't blind
the
no
Phar-
more.
Exactly.
The Pharisees' disciples are just like, who sinned, this man or his family that he's able
but
to do
it says
miracles?
they say unto the blind man again, he's not blind anymore.
Yeah.
I guess it's just association.
Yeah.
What sayest thou of him that he hath
Didn't know
opened
his
thine eyes?
name.
He said he is a prophet. But the Jews did not believe concerning him, and he had been blind and received his sight until they called the parents of him that had received his sight.
But
And they asked him, did you
And
sin?
I was about to say, they asked him, saying, is this your son who you say was born blind? How then doth he now see? His parents answered them and said, did we know this is our son, and he was born blind?
by what
Ugh.
means?
But by what means he now seeth, we know not. Or who hath opened his eyes, we know not. He is of age. Ask him. He
He
shall
shall
speak
speak for himself. Hello.
They were,
But excuse me.
Yeah. They were like, okay, we're
Excuse
done.
me?
Yeah.
Alright.
Listen, we send this kid was
These
born
words
blind,
spake
you
his
know.
parents because they feared the Jews. For the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue. So, they've already doomed their son.
Yeah, and they,
They
Parents
said,
didn't know.
you old enough now, son.
Therefore said his parents, he is of age, ask him. Then again called they the man that was blind and said unto him, give God the praise, we know that this man is a sinner. He answered and said, whether he be a sinner or no, I know not. One thing I know that, whereas I was blind, now I see. Then said they to him again, what did he to thee? How opened he thine eyes? He answered them, I
told you already.
and ye did not hear. Wherefore would you hear it again? Will ye also be his disciples?
oh,
Well.
that stung. They were mad.
Then they
had to-
reviled him and said, thou art his disciple, but we are Moses' disciples. We know that God
Which
spake unto
is
Moses,
even
as for
more-
this fellow, we know not from whence he is.
It's just the way, like, which is, you have a guy who's living, and then they're like, oh, we want to be his followers. That's just weird. However, we're Moses' disciples.
Yeah, but look at the verse 30. The man answered and said unto him, why herein is a marvelous thing, that ye know not from whence he is, and yet he hath opened my eyes. Know we not that God heareth not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, he heareth? Like he's now rebuking.
Since the world
Them.
began, was
Yeah.
it not heard that any man opened the eyes of one that was born blind? If this man were not of God, he could do nothing. Facts.
Like
are
he's
mad.
like
They
they're
were already-
they
they were
are.
already mad
Then
about the
answered and
disciple
said unto him,
comments.
thou wast altogether born in sins, and dost thou teach us? And they cast him out.
They're saying the
That's
same
how
thing
mad
as
they
the
were.
disciples.
You son of a sinner, get out!
They literally are just
They were
doing the
mad
exact
at
same
him.
question as the
Yes.
disciples. Who sinned this man or you were born in? Hey, come on.
Well, they were mad at him. They said, but they said, thou wast altogether born in sins. Dost thou teach us? And they cast him out.
Yeah.
He was telling the
Jesus
truth.
heard that they had cast him out. When he had found him, he said unto him, dost thou believe on the Son of God? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? And Jesus said unto him, thou hast both seen him, and it is he that talketh with thee. And he said, Lord, I believe, that he worshipped him. And Jesus said, for judgment I am come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind.
That was looking into the camera, like right there.
Yeah.
There came in the world that they might see. And the Pharisees were just always like, "Hey, are you talking about us?"
And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, Are we blind also?
Yes.
It's just like pan over to over
And
right here.
Jesus said unto them, If you were blind, you should have no sin. But now you say, We see, therefore your sin remaineth.
Fake news.
Because if they acknowledge their own blindness, that would be honestly the most wise and self-aware thing that they could do.
But they did, and still to this day they don't.
Oh my goodness, there's
But
so much in this. We have to go over this next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back.
Yes, we will not be able to finish this one.
Oh my goodness.
Even though there's a lot of things in here that we would love to talk about.
When
Yes,
you
it is.
read-
The whole
when
chapter
you
9.
read the
We'll have to
people
get
talking
more
about that
into
guy
it
who was
next
blind, like they just gave him money and now we're trying to figure out why he's able to see.
Yes.
It's like,
So we will continue talking about the blind man, the man that was born blind, and we're going to talk about the things that what he said to the Pharisees, and how even someone as we was reading who didn't even know who the Lord was believed in him because he knew this is not something that I made up about me being blind.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not making it up that this guy put clay on my eyes and told me to go wash, and now I can see. And then you see also that his parents disowned him. Like that.
They literally just said, oh, well, if you're going to cast us out of the temple, if we say what happened, just let him say what happened.
Because he's old enough.
He's an adult.
Yeah.
He can handle himself.
Yeah. And so, but we will discuss more about that.
We'll get into details.
And,
the people.
Talk about-
funny.
There's just so much there.
yes, it really is. That it's a whole chapter.
And that sounds
That
so
one
fake,
miracle
too.
is a whole chapter. But realize too that it's in the book of John.
Yeah.
So the details in that is
They had
And John
two
probably
verses.
knew about the
They had
things
two
Because he was
verses
there.
for the
Yeah,
healing of
he
a
was there.
fever. There's a whole chapter for this of like what, like
yes.
41
I
verses.
can,
Yes.
you know what I think probably happened with John, like how he knew everything. I think he probably was with Jesus, and then he saw the blind man being taken to the temple, and he like kind of went in because if Jesus went in, that would be a whole big other thing, you know.
Yeah.
So
So that's why it's so
John
detailed.
probably
Well, in all
Because
of
you got
John's
people
stuff,
who
though.
are just saying that if they say that Jesus is Christ, then they're not going to let him in the synagogue.
Mm-mm.
Like, if you say that Jesus is Christ, then we're going to kick you out. And like, well, Jesus can come in, I guess.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, we will continue talking more about the miracle of the man born blind and everything that happened in that whole chapter, where you see